Guys, parents are getting worse than ever, and it's not even funny. We're way beyond just iPad kids, Cocomelon, or even gentle parenting. Whether it's complaining about lifeguards saving your kid from drowning because how dare they touch your kid, to whining about why your kids can't go outside during an active SWAT operation, or even telling the doctor to stop diagnosing your kid since it's your kid, and how dare you tell them what's best for their kid. Bad parents are evolving into narcissistic and selfish jerks more and more by the day. You guys voted for this topic, and subscribe and leave comments to be part of the future videos. Anyways, I will preface that this video is not hating on the idea of parenthood or wanting kids. Please have kids if you are ready for them and will properly love them. Trust me, our replacement demographics are going to need it. Having said that, we're going to be diving into quite a messy topic, so let's start with the simpler things first. Chapter 1, Permissive Parenting. Gentle parenting doesn't mean what the internet has assigned it to mean. Having said that, for the sake of this video, we're going to be looking at a lot of clips that still subtitle or caption it as gentle parenting. But just know there's a difference. Basically, gentle parenting still allows discipline, they just don't believe in physical discipline.
Can I tell y'all a story? I am literally afraid of my child. I honestly cannot get him to stop hurting me. Obviously, the gentle no is not working. We're that couple who at restaurants, people stare at and shake their heads. We don't know what we did wrong.
Shut your big mouth, I hate you.
I'm concerned our gentle parenting has backfired and perhaps our baby boomer parents were correct. We already know abusive, narcissistic parenting ain't the right way to raise a child, but from what we see here, it seems like the literal exact opposite of that isn't the answer either. But why?
Permissive parenting means letting your kids walk all over you. It's exactly what it sounds like. Basically, they have a little gremlin that they always say yes to. The gremlin can throw all these tantrums and they'll never correct them, and in fact give in to them, further teaching that kid to continue being a little gremlin. So now that I've explained that, that sounds a lot like what most people accidentally call gentle parenting. That's what permissive parenting is.
There is a reason why gentle parenting gets such a bad rep, and it's because that majority of people are under the impression that gentle parenting means that we just let our children run amok and do whatever the fuck they want, and we just sit back and say, yeah, your feelings are valid and you're safe and it's okay. Gentle parenting just means that we're not hitting them.
Kids do not think like adults, hence why trying to assume they already grasp adult concepts like responsibility, restraint, or empathy is stupid. You have to teach those concepts. That's the job of being a parent, to teach them and ease them into the world. I have colleagues who used to be elementary school teachers, and they have to go through this program that reteaches their adult brain to remember what it's like to think like a kid in order to better communicate with kids, and it's really difficult. Like, having said that, my heart absolutely goes out to all the teachers who have to deal with awful parents who basically treat schools like daycares. Y'all are already so overworked and underpaid, and now you gotta deal with the worst generation of illiterate goblin incarnations whose parents did nothing to teach them how to behave in society.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Did you say that my daughter is rude?
Yeah, I did. She gave me the finger.
Well, I wouldn't have done that if he wasn't being a slow asshole.
Are you serious? Whether she gave you the finger or not, then maybe you should have gotten out of her way.
Yeah, I know. I'm old. I'm kind of slow.
So instead of telling Amelia, no, you don't treat people that way, she goes after the older man who's in a motorized cart.
Thankfully, it's not all parents, so for a brief palate cleanser, let's look at some good parenting because Lord knows we're gonna need it as this video progresses.
With your PlayStation 5, how you picked my cat up and slammed it on the ground multiple times. Do it. Now pick it up and do it again. Wait a minute, hold on. Let me move this for you, baby, so you know it's real. I want you to raise it up on your tiptoes and slam that as hard as you can like you did my mother and the cat. Pick it up and do that again.
W parenting, W mom. I don't give a crap what the comments are saying. This kid threw a living animal like a piece of trash just because he was a little angry and he couldn't control his emotions. By the way, the mom bought the PS5. She's allowed to dictate what happens to it. It's an object at the end of the day. You should never physically discipline them by actually hitting them or abusing them, but making them break something they love and value will get the point across. Make grounding and this type of discipline normalized again. Discipline doesn't mean literally hitting your kid like most parents keep freaking out over. You can do adjacent behaviors that absolutely still get the message across. This kid values his PS5, but he failed to acknowledge the value of a living cat. So the best way to make him draw a parallel is to take something he values and have him destroy it to make him realize, oh, okay, I must have done something really bad then. I get it. And it's better he learns this now. Like, this is something he will remember, and some people were commenting that this is a core memory that will probably help him develop into a better human later on in life, because we see what happens if people don't learn to value the life of living animals or even other living people if they're never taught that value. Chapter 2, the results and societal consequences of permissive parenting. If you don't gradually introduce them how dangerous the real world is, they're gonna think they're invincible. A parent who fails to discipline their kid in any way, verbally with words, spatially by just grounding them, or objectively by just showing them demonstrations like the one above. It doesn't have to be physical discipline. There are so many other kinds. But if you never ever get in the way of anything they want in life, you will raise a kid who thinks they're an invincible main character. And that's why we have all these copy-paste broccoli-haired Jack Dohertys running around, because they had permissive parents who never, ever, ever disciplined their kid. Or even worse, whenever their kid wanted something from another kid, they would argue against the other parent to make their kid concede that item.
And you're sitting next to me and my family, and your kids are playing with other toys. My kids are instructed to go over there and grab toys so they could play as well. They do not need to ask for permission.
And that is so disgusting because it makes their little gremlin really narcissistic. Like, I can throw a tantrum and make the world bend around me. Everything's meant to be played with by me. It's a giant sandbox. This isn't like even hyperbole. They grow up to become like this. We have multiple examples of people like this loser prankster or mini loser pranksters. But we'll take a look at this one first. We'll take it bit by bit throughout this video.
Hey, dip, quit thinking about my twinkle.
No.
Hey, dip, quit thinking about my twinkle.
Get out of my face and call cops on. Stop.
Hey, dip, quit thinking about my twinkle.
Stop.
This is food delivery.
So this prankster, you know, he ended up getting the face of this guy, and this guy acted in self-defense because he's outnumbered, he's scared, he has a camera in his face, and this is something parents need to realize. If you neglect to discipline your child, society will do it tenfold. And society doesn't have the guide rails that parenthood has, meaning that it was your job to make sure that these kids understood the proper danger of things they can't control. These are things that must be taught to them. Pranksters are some of the biggest cases of failed parenting, since the only way someone can do this is through complete permissive behavior. There's no way they had parents who had a spine. Like, each day they get bolder and bolder, whether it's fake injections on people in public that lead to jail time, deserved by the way.
Prank has got a French influencer in jail. Amin Mahito's video showed him pretending to stab random people with syringes. It went viral just days before an outbreak of needle attacks at a French music festival, and even though the syringes were empty, a lawyer said it caused real fear for the people in the video.
Harassing people in public is L behavior, and I hate that there's a whole genre of this on TikTok. For instance, all these losers who somehow have the time to gather in like groups of 20 to raid local businesses and mess with hardworking employees.
Go ahead and bring in the guys.
Call the police.
What is going on? No,
You guys need to leave.
You guys are back to come back here.
Workers. These are my workers. These are my workers. These are my workers.
Oh, this is the TikTok guy, actually. This is his TikTok.
The TikTok account at Terra Clout is owned by 24-year-old Heston James Cobb. On both TikTok and Instagram, Heston gained a following by pranking employees at recognizable stores, including Target, Michaels.
People who are already stressed enough in this economy who now have to deal with all this prankster BS while also even double taking at the chicken they're buying at the grocery store, wondering if it's been poisoned by some clout goblin.
Smith is now facing multiple charges, including a felony for messing with produce at a Walmart in Mesa Thursday. Court docs say Smith stole from the same store, then sprayed it all over fruits, vegetables, and rotisserie chickens as part of a prank.
I could honestly make a whole video about the TikTok crime epidemic, so I'm just gonna save that for a future topic later. That's not a finalized name for it, but we'll get to it when we get to it. But if you want to watch that video and other videos, then subscribe for more epidemic slop and like this video if you are enjoying it so far, and also share it to any fatherless Discord users who might even need to see this video, just to let them know that I actually don't hate them. It's their parents who failed them. Anyways, on to chapter 3, neglect.
And it's not like she didn't know. She even had that clip in there where she's like, it's alright, I can just abort the child, not gonna hurt me. Evil mindset. Like, what? She couldn't stop herself from smoking and drinking while pregnant. She did have the child, and this September he will be 3 years old. He still cannot walk or talk, and it seems like also has a hard time just sitting up on his own without assistance supporting him. It is heartbreaking. It is actually heartbreaking. And I don't know why what she's done isn't just full-blown child abuse. Like, I don't know how that's not just a crime. Like, it's all just right out there in the open. Like, it's not a secret. People extremely close to her have just point-blank said that she has smoked and drank throughout her pregnancy. They've said it a couple of times. It's just so unhinged. And now, where she's now denying that her child has a disability and says that, you know, the doctors are wrong, the doctors don't know, which to me says that she's not even willing to get this child the assistance that he is likely going to need going forward.
He's developing at his own pace and hitting his milestones in his own timing. Every child is different, and I'm confident in his growth.
Every kid deserves a parent, but not every parent deserves a kid, and that has never been more apparent than ever, because there are a lot of parents who just completely treat their kids like property. I despise parents who don't let others criticize their parenting habits because it's my kid, so I tell them what to do, not you. Because that treats your kid like a non-living object instead of the autonomous human being they are.
He's gonna have a kid. We're gonna raise it in Vietnam for the first 4 years.
What? He won't be there?
Neither of us will.
What?
We'll visit.
What? What? You won't be in the kid's life for the first 4 years?
They're not gonna remember. They're not gonna remember. But listen, Caleb, you know his family's gonna raise it, you know, in Vietnam. It. So we can send it to school.
Kid's gonna miss his grandparents, her grandparents. A little baby that doesn't have memories still cries for their mother.
Okay, but get over it.
And you realize how disgusting this phrase is from this horrendous mother. Oh, it's my kid. You can't tell me what to do with my kid. It's mine. You're the child's mother, but the child is still a child. Someday they will grow up to be an adult, and their life will be their own. There's a whole arc of this in My Hero Academia where literally the main character, Deku, tells someone he's going up against in a tournament, it's not your father's power, it's yours. In some dire cases, strangers absolutely can tell a parent what to do with their children, especially if what the parent is doing is neglecting the child. Even more so if it's not a random stranger, but a licensed doctor looking for the developmental health of the child.
My mom was the type of mom who might ignore all your medical issues until it was too late, and it was disgusting. Like, that happened to me a lot growing up. So
They said that if Jethro doesn't start chemotherapy, that he has a chance that he will definitely pass away. And I said it very loud and clear, I'm not starting chemotherapy.
I don't understand people who take their children to the doctor and then don't want to listen to that doctor. This woman's son is fighting leukemia, and she is in a war with CPS because she refuses to allow her son to get the chemo treatment needed. Keep in mind, this chemo treatment, this regimen of chemo, has been around for decades and is so incredibly successful that it has lowered the death rate of leukemia by so much. And if a doctor is telling you your son is going to die if you don't do this and you don't listen, I understand wanting to go a more natural or less toxic route, but the moment your child's life is in question is the moment you need to listen to the doctors.
Unk's got a trauma dump here because this whole story reminds me of my own trauma that I already talked about in a 2024 cancer video, which I don't recommend watching that video actually. This is one of the few times you're going to hear a YouTuber ever tell you not to watch a video. I don't hate my parents. I've learned to forgive them, but I will never truly love them because my parents were science deniers as well. So I'll briefly state here, I grew up with precancerous Barrett's esophagus as a child. This is something that progresses very slowly and can be kept under control. There's no cure for precancer, unfortunately, for this type, but you can keep a kid well into, like, they can still live a full life if you just give them treatment, right? You act early on and don't let it progress to cancer. It's only 1% chance of progressing to cancer. You have to be extremely stupid to allow it to progress to the next stage. My parents were extremely stupid. Sure, they acted out of what they perceived was their best intention, but it came out of arrogance and narcissism against American doctors. They opted to use Asian pseudoscience and even brainwashed and repeated to me, "You don't have a problem. We don't have any genetic defects in our lineage. We're a clean bloodline." They actually said that word for word, not in English, in their native languages, but you get the point. Like, looking back, that's really cultish-like talking. That's why my heart weeps for children in this circumstance, because they're held prisoner to a jail of their parents' making, their parents' own science denial, their parents' own arrogance, narcissism. There's nothing I'll ever do to get mad at these children for the same reason I wouldn't be mad at myself. What was 7-year-old me supposed to do? Run away from home? And I had to just tough it out until I became an adult. And there's absolutely a world where some kids probably don't make it to adulthood. If I could have literally just been murked, and my parents probably would have just chalked it up to something that still wasn't even their own fault, which is why I said I'll never love them. The stakes where they put their child's life on the line. Why have I avoided saying that up until now? That's why I hate this disgusting mother. It's not just their future. You are putting their life on the line in the present for every day, every week that passes by when you don't get them treated for actual issues they have. Off. And yes, I know medical debt is expensive, but you're a parent. It's your responsibility, and you were supposed to be prepared for it when you brought a life into this world. Because guess who will shoulder the medical debt, assuming they make it to adulthood? The kid will. The kid will grow up to be an adult. It's always easier to stop at the beginning. Sorry if I'm raising my voice, but I always hear that dog shit ass excuse from some people. I know this country isn't perfect. I know there's systems that suck, but it will only suck more the longer you wait. That's how everyone talks about. So just tank the hit as the parent, because that was something you should have mentally prepared yourself for, being the parent. With all this science denial, next thing you know, some parents will disbelieve humans even need to breathe oxygen. So how dare you get their kids out of the water because they were not drowning, you bigot. It's my kid. I tell them what to do. Oh wait, some parents actually do this? God damn it.
A lifeguard was thrown in jail after saving a drowning 5-year-old boy, all because the child's parents called the police. 23-year-old Zachary Stein worked as a lifeguard at a water park. Without hesitation, he jumped into the pool, pulled Adam out, and performed emergency CPR, successfully reviving him. But just as people began praising Stein as a hero, Adam's parents arrived. Instead of thanking him, they called the police. Officers soon showed up and arrested Stein on charges of endangering a child.
I'm gonna dial myself back. Sorry for sounding so heated earlier, but like, this is why I've been avoiding making this video topic, by the way. It's something I can't not get heated. This is my third try and record this video. Anyways, imagine your kid starts drowning and this mother gets the audacity at the people saving them because it's her child.
Take him to the beach.
I understand, but when you're questioning why somebody else is holding your daughter, that means that you should have been there to
But
be holding
literally,
your daughter.
we were all paying attention to it. Like, I was literally just leaving
Well, how
right
could
now.
everybody be paying attention if an honest citizen that don't even know
What is
you
going on right now?
just-
Like, I don't understand what's going
your
on. We
daughter
were
almost
literally
drowned and
leaving
died
right
in the
now.
beach. In the beach.
Her with a 5-year-old brother, right?
What is going on?
Okay, you left your daughter in the beach with a sibling that's 5 years
I
old
was
alone.
literally watching them.
And she was drowning. Someone had to take her out of the water because she almost drowned and died. Do you understand that?
Maybe you should stop day drinking and supervise your freaking children. All these police body cam footage these days show off some of the most neglectful parents out there, and it has my heart aching for the future of our youth. I hate that she yells, "It's my kids, it's my kids, they're my kids." In this case, the lifeguards and police are doing their job in rescuing their kids from drowning in the water. I get that you can't have eyes 24/7 on your kid, and I get that accidents happen, so don't feel ashamed if a lifeguard is to save your own kids someday. Just don't yell at the lifeguard after they've done their job. And even worse, don't be day drinking at a bar several thousand feet away from the scene of the incident.
And so when her friend was stumbling drunk, these are her friend's shoes. She took her to the bathroom because she's like, she's throwing up, you know? So that's I don't want you to think that she wasn't just not being a mom.
Yeah.
The bartender comes out and tries defending her, saying she's not being a bad parent. I was watching her this whole time. She was actually busy helping a friend vomit in the restroom from all the day drinking. And bro, hard disagree. Can we stop permissive parenting, the permissive parents? The stakes could not be any higher. Her daughter almost drowned. I do not care about hurting her feelings. Maybe one drink, sure, especially if you know what you can handle, and at her age, she absolutely should know what she can handle. But if you're literally drinking till blackout drunk where you're vomiting, that's not responsible. They've already lost my sympathy as being the good parent here. The comments absolutely roasted her by saying, repeating you're not a bad mom doesn't make you not a bad mom. And I'm glad everyone is siding with the stranger lady who actually saved a drowning daughter. You know, because drowning isn't something you can hesitate with, right? Kids' lungs only last seconds, maybe a minute, depending on their own individual training, especially when they're only 3 to 5 years old. The stranger isn't playing superhero. That lady was a hero. Meanwhile, the mom is obviously drunk, possibly even high, and she's looking after 3 to 5-year-olds. She claims it was her birthday, and the bartender and her friends are defending that parents deserve to have fun too, right? They're on the beach and they should enjoy themselves. It's her birthday or whatever. You're allowed to have fun. Just have fun with your kids. Why are parents doing everything possible these days to avoid raising their kids or being near their kids? Like they always need to take a break from their kids. You know, if you actually love your kids and make them love you, you don't feel the need to always be away from them. At the very least, just be sober on the beach, right? Especially when they're 3 to 5. I'm gonna keep repeating that. So don't be like these parents who are completely oblivious to the dangers of the surrounding world and for some reason even try to control it, whether it's denying diseases, denying that their kid is drowning, or denying that they're in an active crossfire area with a SWAT team. Now on the flip side, don't interpret this as me saying helicopter parent your kids forever and never let them go outside because the world is super, uber, duper, mega, ultra dangerous and they should never ever see anything. No. There's a middle ground. Supervise your children and make sure they can safely experience the world on those guide rails I've been mentioning this whole video. If you don't know what helicopter parenting is, it means constantly surveilling your kid and controlling major aspects of their life, like what they do after school, who they can hang out with, and not even buying them any form of autonomy, whether that's a skateboard, a bicycle, a scooter, and especially a car or motorcycle, regardless of age. There are some parents that don't want to give up control of their kid's life forever, even as their kid moves into early adulthood. Helicopter parenting has gotten so bad that there are moms who let their 11-year-old boy walk a few blocks outside on his own. This is not the bad mother in this instance. It's the Karen who called police on this mom and this kid.
They have now released body cam footage of the moment that a mother was arrested for letting her 10-year-old son walk less than a mile into town.
Turn around for me. Why? Because you're under arrest. For what? For the incident we talked about earlier today.
On October 30th, Brittany Patterson took one of her sons to a doctor's appointment while her 10-year-old son Soren decided to walk into town from their home in Georgia.
What am I under arrest for?
For reckless endangerment.
And how was I recklessly endangering my child?
We're not talking about it.
But while she was out, she got a call from police saying that her son was walking outside alone, but she says she wasn't concerned because she grew up walking outside and exploring on her own, and she was raising her children the same way. Patterson was arrested and booked on reckless conduct, where they say she willingly and knowingly endangered the welfare of her son, and she could face up to a year in prison.
Last time I checked, it wasn't illegal for a kid to walk to the store.
It is when they're 10 years old.
It is?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to see that on the books.
Okay, well, you'll see it on your warrant.
And the police show up to arrest her. By the way, 11-year-old boy. He's not like 5 or 6 years old. These Karens are the same MFs who probably complain about their own kids always being on their phones and never playing outside. Yet whenever they see other kids play outside, they call the police for a noise complaint or call other mothers irresponsible for letting their kid go way too far from their supervision. Complete hypocrites. To further prove my point, right? Cross country and track clubs are a thing. A lot of kids don't do it on the field at school all the time. Sometimes there's something going on where the field's under maintenance. So kids will actually run miles away from their home. Like I know people used to do 2-mile loops, even 3-mile loops. So 1.5 miles away from their home and then 1.5 miles back. They're like in 7th or 8th grade. That's not a horrendous thing to be doing. That's more than old enough to see the world outside of their house in their immediate vicinity. Like, I get supervising your kids on the beach when they're still toddlers, like in the previous chapter, but by the time they're preteens, you should still supervise them, but you don't have to helicopter parent or even helicopter parent other parents' kids, because they might be part of some after school club where they have to partake in these activities. It's good for their health too, and it's just good for their mental health too, not just physical health. They need to see the world around them, all right? These parents get zero right to get mad at their kids when they become adults, and they're like, hey, how come you haven't gotten a girlfriend yet? Hey, how come you still play video games all the time? Hey, how come you don't go outside? What do you mean? You never provided them with the means of gradually learning and experiencing things. Something equally annoying and unfortunately just as damaging to children's development is tiger parenting, also known as emotional damage. Chapter 4, Compare, Compare, Compare.
What the hell you say hard? Remember your cousin in China? Who, Timmy? He got 15 years work experience. He's 9. How's that even possible?
Now moving on from physical neglect, another really long-lasting type of parental negligence is emotional neglect. This does follow children deep into adulthood, and sometimes they never get over it. Being Asian, you already know most of this chapter is going to be dedicated to the toxic culture our parents raised us in. Memes aside, Asian parents are way too obsessed with grades, and they deduce their child's entire worth with GPA. I know this can happen with parents of any background, but it's definitely worth talking about in Asia because it's the worst there. We have stats to back it up. Let's not turn this into a competition. Trust me, you don't want to be number one at this.
Do you remember what your high school schedule was like? Let's compare it to the average Korean student. They wake up at 6:30 a.m., get to school by 7:30. They go to school till about 4 p.m. Then they rush home for a quick bite and then have private lessons from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. at what they call a hagwon, which is like a tutoring, like a after-school program. Then they go back to school, do a study session until about 11 p.m. And then when you go home, you have to study till around 2 a.m. and then wake up at 6:30 a.m. to do it all over again. It is very common in South Korea for students to spend on average 16 hours a day studying. 16. That leaves 8 hours to shower, eat, rest, sleep, socialize, and even just transportation to get from one place to another. That takes a lot of time. Korean parents spent nearly $18 billion on tutoring and specialized entrance exam classes in 1 year. $18 billion!
In 1979, 6% of Korean students attended hagwons. By 2008, it was 75%. So in 2009, Seoul tried a 10 p.m. curfew. Hagwons adapted. Some recategorized as self-study libraries. Some put kids on chartered buses and taught lessons while driving on the motorway.
You do not want to be number one at this. If you hate 7 hours of school, imagine having 13 hours of school. Like having an after school, after school, after school. And the reason it's 3 phases of schooling is because you have the regular school and then an after school for the regular school. But because the after schools after the regular school are becoming so prestigious, they now have wait lists where there are after schools for those after schools.
Today, in South Korea, where 69% of young adults hold degrees, cram schools are so competitive that subsidiary cram schools now exist solely to coach students into more prestigious cram schools. Cram schools for cram schools.
These parents have never heard of the concept of diminishing returns. You can't just keep throwing more at something expecting quantifiably more gains. Like, there comes a point where throwing more at something actually gets less gains. There's such thing as kids getting tired, getting overworked, getting overstudied. The human brain hasn't changed that much in 10,000 years. There are literal studies showing when people stop focusing and paying attention to things. ADHD aside, a perfectly healthy human brain isn't designed to focus for 12 to 13 hours a day. That's stupid, especially when they're a kid and they want to explore the world around them and play. Sure, these countries perform at the top for academics, but guess what else they're at the top for? Yep, highest rate of murking themselves. Oh, also lowest replacement rate. They're not making future kids, so their society won't even exist. Is that worth being proud of for being number one in academics? What's the point of having all these smart people when it doesn't mean anything in a few decades? In this particular case, it leads to a phenomenon known as elite overproduction.
Calls the mechanism elite overproduction. More people trained for elite roles than roles that exist.
What this means is that there are more kids than ever with degrees from elite institutions, from all these elite schools and elite after schools, from all the studying they did. We're not talking a few too many kids, by the way. We're talking multiple millions of them who are elitely overproduced.
Elite overproduction led to breakdown, not reforms. Brian Kaplan, an American economist, estimates 80% of education's return comes from signaling, not actual skills, which means the system doesn't fail when someone like Ellen Tara James Penny sleeps in her Volvo with $140,000 in debt. That's the system working exactly as designed. China produced 1 million college graduates in 1997. By 2025, it produced 12.22 million. That increase over just the past decade, 4.6 million people, is larger than the entire annual graduating class of the United States.
But guess what? Companies didn't magically gain several millions of job openings for the several multiple millions of graduates and degrees that just got handed out. Therefore, a lot of these kids actually end up without a job, no money, and either move back in with parents or end up stressed out of their mind in the middle of a city, going broke, working themselves to the bone like a dog on years on end, which is why they don't have time to marry someone and make more kids. And their country and politicians have the audacity to complain about it. And then you get to the extreme end where some of them just can't take it anymore and end it all. And again, we have statistics to back all of this up. This is a cycle that repeats as an entirely new generation of parents and politicians who continue to point to the oversaturated, overwalked path and then rushes their kids down that same exact fate. And wow, that sounds similar to something that's happening in the West, except it's way, way more dystopian. It's worth talking about this to my American viewers because it can show the future that we ourselves could be headed towards if we have this dumb ideology surrounding academics. For some parents, academics is the sole measurement of their kids' whole life, despite it not even contributing that much to their adulthood. There, I said it. Yeah, I know, there's these memes of people being like, oh, the only people who say that are these people, but it's like, laugh all you want, but a lot of CEOs don't have degrees. I'm not saying to become some sort of crypto rug pull or wannabe entrepreneur. There is something way more than just school. There are so many other paths. Even just being a drilling engineer can make $250,000 a year. Being an HVAC dude of air conditioning can make 6 figures these days. Blue collar and trades are such a huge shortage. And that's the exact polar opposite result of trade underproduction, elite overproduction. Wow, what a shocker. A whole generation of parents, actually 2 whole generations of parents, boomers and Gen Xers, told all their millennial and Gen Z kids to rush towards the university. It's like trying to fit a giant square cube into a tiny circular hole and then being shocked why the square cube is not going in. We've learned how to play with these toys since we are 5-year-old. Why are politicians still not grasping the same metaphorical concept with this elite overproduction phenomenon? There were books written about this, warning about this happening in the West too, and we're still seeing it happen slowly here, like I said, super fast in Asia due to how much larger the population is in countries like China or how many decades it's been persisting in countries like Korea, but it's gonna happen to the US in a few more, I was gonna say a few more decades, but actually it might happen before this decade ends because AI is rapidly advancing the uselessness of degrees, right? All these tiger parents are doing are raising A students to follow the orders of C student CEOs. The bamboo ceiling exists for a reason. These kids can't talk worth a damn. They can't politic worth a damn. They can't actually socialize or get connections or do anything other than just follow orders. Academics don't teach you to replace the elite. It teaches you to continue to be subservient to them. Now, this doesn't mean drop out of school and do horrible at it. You should still value school. There are still definitely subjects that are worth learning about, but don't make your whole life revolve around GPA. Regardless, Unk's done trauma dumping. Thanks for listening, and I hope this reaches whoever it needs to reach. Anyways, make sure to like this video and share it to your friends to trauma dump together in your group chats. Subscribe for more epidemic slop, and I will be honoring my car enthusiast audience request to make the repo epidemic, regardless of it losing 4 polls now. Oops, I guess I'm becoming a permissive parent. Guys, thumb throwing a tantrum worked. I'm playing favoritism, alright? Just this once. Poll results be damned, because car guys are the ones who built this channel up in the first place, alright? Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bladed Angel out.